Good evening, all. Welcome to today's webinar. This is PSK Meru branch. My name is June Mwebia. I will be the moderators of today's session. And I can say we already have around 123 participants. So we are going to start. I will take this opportunity to invite Dr. Timothy Mudioki to lead us with the word of prayer. Welcome, Dr.
Thank you, our moderator and secretary, Dr. June. Let's give thanks as we go about to start this session. Let's pray. Father, we're grateful. We come before thy presence with thanksgiving, joy, and gladness. We are gathered here on a platform to learn, even about matters that affect doctors and the welfare of many. We ask for wisdom, love, light, and life. And beyond that, help us even to seek you in truth and in spirit. We ask this in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Over to you, Dr. June.
Thank you so much, Dr. Timothy. Today's session or webinar, we are going to learn about mental health. And it is good to note that mental health is a global burden, and it occurs in around 7 people, 1 person suffers from mental health. So without further ado, I am going to take this opportunity to welcome our speaker of the day. And before he comes, I'm just going to say who he is. Our presenter of the day or speaker of the day is Reverend Dr. Gitie, who is a PhD holder. He's an accomplished counseling psychologist, theologian, researcher, and minister with extensive experience in mental health, pastoral care, leadership development, and psychosocial support. He currently serves as the University Counselor at Mount Kenya Methodist University, that is KEMU, where he provides professional counseling services, promotes mental wellness, mentors students and staff, and contributes to teaching, research, and postgraduate supervision. Dr. Gitie holds a Doctor of Philosophy in Counseling Psychology from Kenya Methodist University, a Master of Philosophy in Psychology from the University of Oslo, Norway, a Master's of Theology from the Norwegian School of Theology, and a Bachelor of Theology and Leadership from Norwegian School of Theology and Leadership, and a Bachelor of Psychology from Egerton University, Kenya. He has also undertaken professional training in addiction treatment, HIV and AIDS education, project planning, leadership, and adolescent psychosocial health. So I take this opportunity to welcome you, Doc. Karibu sana. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Secretary and members. It's a great pleasure for me to be here this evening and to be your facilitator this evening, especially on a very important topic that, as Dr. June has said, is an area of great interest to all of us because our society is experiencing so many challenges that leave so many of us affected emotionally, psychologically, and therefore, just as the doctor has said, this burden is not just to individuals, but also to families, to countries, and even to the entire world. Because mental health challenges, or when a person is mentally ill, that affects productivity, it affects the economy. People will not be productive in what they do, but also families and governments or even institutions that employ those individuals end up spending a lot of money in supporting individuals who are experiencing the said challenges. And therefore, I am glad that the leadership of this society chose this evening to have our members go through or learn more about mental health challenges. And specifically, we are going to be looking at the issue of mental health challenges among pharmacists. And we will be looking at the issue of burnout, resilience, and also professional well-being. Amidst the challenges that we go, and the many encounters that we have as professionals, how can we build resilience? That is the ability to overcome or to recover from the setbacks that we encounter, and then live a healthy life so that we can be productive, lead productive lives, be efficient, even in what we do. I want to say that I am from Kenya Methodist University. Dr. is saying that I am from Mount Kenya University. I'm from Kenya Methodist University, and I work as the university counselor. So we go through our presentation this evening. I have been told I have very limited time, and I hope that after this, we are also going to have an interaction session. By the end of this presentation, we hope that we are going to be able to understand what mental health issues are. We are going to be able to understand burnout. Sometimes we experience things and we ignore them. Unfortunately, they affect how we serve and they affect us in the long run as well. We're going to understand resilience, professional well-being, and also professional well-being among pharmacists. Number two, we are going to appreciate the everyday mental health and emotional challenges that pharmacists face in Kenya and across the world. Thirdly, we are going to reflect on how stress, burnout, and poor mental health affect pharmacists, patients, and healthcare services. Number five, we are going to explore practical and healthy ways that we can cope, that we can use to cope with stress and build resilience in our workplaces, and especially in this regard to you, my listeners, this evening as the pharmacist. And finally, we are going to identify practical steps that we may use or utilize to promote mental well-being. Mental health challenges among health professionals have become a growing concern globally. And pharmacists who play a critical role in medication management, patient counseling, and healthcare delivery often work under pressure, that exposes them to burnout, anxiety, and even emotional exhaustion. You bear me witness that sometimes what you have to go through, sometimes the fears and the concerns that you have, and I'll be looking later on at work environments, resources provided to us. I know and appreciate that some of you work in various setups, some in institutions, private institutions, some in public institutions. And it is not every day that you are provided with the resources that you may require. And therefore, those limitations have an implication to our well-being. The other challenge is the changing nature of pharmacy profession, increased patient demands, and healthcare emergencies that all hand to the challenges and pressure that you face. In Kenya, pharmacists face additional burdens such as staff shortage, high patient volumes, medicine stockouts, financial pressures, and limited mental health support systems. Let's look at the issue of, staffing. You realize that some hospitals, a whole hospital has got only one pharmacist, maybe on duty, or a whole hospital or institution has got only one pharmacist in charge and very few staff under that individual. And therefore, that puts a lot of pressure when you compare the number of patients that have to be attended by pharmacists, the patient ratio that you have to deal with, all those are serious pressures that would lead to the challenges that we have. Limited mental health support system. I know for sure that many hospitals, many employers may not have very elaborate mental health support systems. But I am really grateful this evening for the society, because this is one way of ensuring that we have our mental health wellness taken care of, and also hope that we are going to have structures, even as I will be proposing towards the end of this presentation. So therefore, friends, these challenges affect not only your well-being, but also the quality of healthcare services that you provide. In this presentation, we will discuss burnout, resilience, coping mechanisms, and professional well-being amongst the pharmacists from global and Kenyan perspectives, while proposing practical interventions for addressing the burden of mental health challenges. When we talk about mental health, we are simply referring to a person's emotional, psychological, and social well-being. You know, if a person is not okay in how they feel, it is a common practice that when you greet someone, they will say, "I'm okay." But sometimes people are not okay. They are hurting. They are aching. People are experiencing problems and challenges. And therefore, when a person is emotionally disturbed, psychologically disturbed, socially they are not okay, they are having challenges with their friends or with their families. And you know, there are several things that can cause those challenges. You know, maybe you have someone's death, or you have a person you are not relating very well with, or you have someone that you have under conflict with. All those aspects contribute to the mental wellness. And therefore, if any of those dimensions is not okay, then a person is said to be having a mental health challenge. Those challenges affect how we feel, how we think, how we behave, how we handle stress, and even relate to others, as well as making of decisions. A person that is emotionally disturbed will not think logically, will not be rational, they will be irrational. A person that is having challenges or problems or issues with the colleagues at work will not relate well with not just the colleagues, but also with the clients that we are expecting to serve. And therefore, one challenge that we have is if this person does not have any support system, if this goes on for a long time, it has the potential, to affect the work environment, to affect this individual's family, and as we'll be seeing later on, affect even how this person copes and even how this person performs their duties. According to the World Health Organization, mental health is described as a state of well-being in which an individual realizes their abilities, they can be able to cope with normal stresses of life, work productively, and contribute to their community. A state of well-being in which an individual realizes their abilities. Some people have not realized their abilities. Yes, we have been working, or we work as doctors, yet some of us have not realized their abilities. Some of us are not able to cope with stress in a normal way. And therefore, you realize, ladies and gentlemen, many people who engage in maladaptive behaviors, self-defeating activities, things that are destructive in the long run, or in the name of handling and managing stress. Some people become unproductive. One goes to work, but then they are not motivated, they are not self-driven, and that affects their productivity. Others do not feel motivated at all even to go to work. And therefore, all these dimensions would affect an individual's optimal contribution to community and nation building. Some signs of mental health status, when a person is enjoying healthy mental health status, this person would have a positive self-image and self-acceptance. It doesn't matter what people say about that individual, and especially when we are having members that are across generations. And I believe that our association or our society has got members in cross or transgeneration. Therefore, especially those who are young ones and those who are struggling to be better than they are today, to look different than they look today. When one is struggling and striving to achieve a certain sort of look or image and be accepted by others, sometimes people can do all sorts of things, but a person who is mentally well or okay, who is not struggling, will accept the way they look. We live in times when people are struggling to look different. There are those who are struggling to be taller than they are today. There are those who are struggling with how they look in terms of their skin complexion. There are those who are struggling with their weight. And there are many things that disturbs individuals. But a person who is healthy, they will accept who they are, regardless of what opinion others have. If a person is not in that category, they will try to struggle to be liked by others, to be accepted by others, and then that can again lead to serious other implications. A mentally healthy person will also manage stress effectively, maintain emotional balance, demonstrate resilience. And I say that resilience is the ability to recover from one's setbacks. And you will bear me witness that we face frustrations and setbacks on daily basis. Our emotion, our expectations are frustrated. Our things that we hoped to achieve do not go the way we wanted them to be. If a person does not have resilience, they will also crumble with the crumbling of the expectations. But a mentally healthy individual will have ability to recover from their setbacks. They build and sustain healthy relationships. Again, something that is not very easy. At every given time, an individual is struggling with a relationship that is not working, an individual that is difficult to cope on, to work with, and all those sorts of things. But a person who is mentally healthy will have an ability to strive at least to build healthy relationships, because again, we can't work alone. We have people around us, whether at the workplace, whether it's in a society like this, whether it's in the community. And when a person is unhealthy, that would affect, relationships even in greater ways. They work productively and feel fulfilled, and they also make rational, informed decisions. When an individual makes rational decisions, they feel happy about themselves. They feel happy about the decisions they made. And as doctors, there are many decisions that we are making every day. And when we make decisions that are rational and healthy, that makes us to also feel good about ourselves and about our work. A person who is mentally ill will have the following signs: persistent sadness. You do not know what people have done, what makes you feel sad, but a person feels just sad. There are times you have colleagues showing up at work and you talk to them and they will give you a msomo for 5 minutes before they respond to what you asked them. It's not because you have done anything wrong, but they have, they want to vent out. They are constantly or persistently sad. They have anxiety. They have some fear or worries that they cannot explain why they are feeling the way they are feeling. You know, they have that, they are feeling anxious for no apparent reason. And others have got mood swings. They are happy at this moment, and another moment you find them low and gloomy. Some individuals withdraw from social interactions. When you call for an activity, they don't show up. They don't engage in activities that they used to like. They, don't want places where there are people, because they feel that I want my space. But unfortunately, we say that in relation to mental health, the more a person feels that they want their space, what many people call, my space, the more then that we need to be concerned about their well-being. But those are just indicators, again, that a person may not be well emotionally or mentally. Low self-esteem or feelings of worthlessness. We have been witnessing so many cases of suicide, whether it is people dying by suicide, or people who have attempted suicide, or people with suicidal ideations. And a person that does not just transition or just wake up one day and take their life. Before a person takes their life, they start by being demotivated. They start by feeling worthless. They start by feelings of meaninglessness, feelings of hopelessness. And therefore, they don't find any meaning in engaging, in productive activities and endeavors. And therefore, those are just signs that we may want to watch for, even as we take care of ourselves and also our friends. Difficulty concentrating or making decisions. There are people who cannot make a decision. You call them, you ask them, you talk to them, but they will have to take a lot of time before they think about what is right and what is wrong, or just decide something. There are people who cannot decide even simple things like what to have for lunch. They cannot decide on very minor things, because their thinking abilities have been affected. Increased irritability or anger, changes in sleep or appetite, burnout and lack of motivation, substance misuse, or harmful coping behaviors. These are some signs or indicators that a person is experiencing a mental illness or a mental condition that may require our support. When we talk about burnout, and especially burnout amongst the pharmacists, what are we talking about? Burnout is a psychological syndrome that results from prolonged workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. When a person is overwhelmed, when a person has got prolonged workplace stress, and there are several things that the stress is one at the workplace, and I will be looking at those later on. When that is not managed for a long time, an individual will suffer burnout. We'll also be looking at how burnout manifests. And the World Health Organization defines burnout as a condition characterized by emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and reduced professional effectiveness. Those things that makes a person to be emotionally exhausted. You feel like today you are not feeling like going to work. You wake up and there are people you don't want to see, especially in relation to work, or a person starts becoming unethical, or a person becomes unproductive. Those are indicators that a person may be suffering burnout. Burnout amongst pharmacists may manifest in various ways, including chronic fatigue and emotional exhaustion, reduced motivation and enthusiasm for work, feelings of frustration and hopelessness, reduced concentration and productivity, irritability towards patients and colleagues, increased absenteeism, medication dispensing errors, withdrawal from social interaction. pharmacy and counseling and the whole mental health care is not just a profession, it's a calling. And therefore, we expect ourselves to be so motivated, self-driven, looking forward to that next day at work. But unfortunately, due to the nature of our working environments, the many challenges that we have to contend with, sometimes we may feel exhausted. Sometimes we may feel that we are not motivated. Sometimes we may feel hopeless, become unproductive. Some people may become irritable and, express some outbursts towards patients and colleagues. But we have to understand individuals sometimes, because not in every occasion that a person is doing this out of their own wish, but because of the burden that is, on their shoulders. I believe an engagement like this one today helps us to be able to do an introspection. Possibly some of us have become culprits of this, and we don't know why. We don't know why we reacted the way we reacted. Sometimes we have been feeling exhausted and not motivated, to engage in our professional activities. I hope that by the end of this presentation, we are able to change the story, to change the situation at the individual level, at the societal level. Those of us who are in charge of institutions can be able to think about ourselves, about our colleagues, about our juniors, so that we can build a stronger profession where everyone enjoys to work, is motivated, is encouraged, is supported, and where we see individuals thriving. What causes burnout? There are several things that causes burnout. And of course, remember, as I have said, when a person is experiencing burnout, then they will not be productive, they will not be motivated, and they will express or manifest with all the signs that we have looked at above. One of the things that causes workers, and especially people working in healthcare setups to suffer burnout, is the heavy workload and long working hours. And you will bear me witness again that many hospitals and retail pharmacies have very few as employees compared to the number of patients that we or you are serving. Well, you are managing daily prescriptions, taking stock, insurance claims, and counseling responsibilities. So an individual is so much overloaded by work that you have to do. You are thinking about going to work tomorrow and your hand is aching because you're imagining about the volume of work to be sorted. You have to sort the health claims, health insurance claims. You have to sort out the stock issues. You have to, some have very many clients to be served, and all these, sometimes it's only one person that is doing that and such. The second one is the staff shortage. I know, again, that some of you may be having so many responsibilities and you have very limited capacity, definitely, as a human being. Some of you are not capacitated, you are not given enough or sufficient support or resources. And therefore, you have to contend with the very limited resources, which is very unfortunate. And I believe it's the case in many of health sectors in the country, whether it is in public or in private. And therefore, that staff shortage issue, other than workload, again, leads to exhaustion, leads to burnout. The third one is workplace pressure and high expectations. You face expectations both from the clients or the patients. You face expectations from the employer, and all those cases would lead to, burnout. When you are serving, you want to be very accurate. You want to avoid errors because, of course, again, medication errors can lead to serious issues, life-threatening consequences. And when you have to balance that, you have to balance the, expectations. An individual would, in a way, feel the strain, feel the weight and the emotional tension. So workplace pressure and high expectations. Many employers want you to perform, want you to produce, to deliver, but then there are limitations. You are not enabled. You don't have enough. You don't have a team for those who are in charge. Those others who have their bosses. You don't have the required resources. Sometimes hospitals and outlets are not properly stocked, yet you have clients and patients that you have to service. The fourth one is a poor work-life balance, and here again, I know that many Kenyans are culprits to this. We want to work, but we have a very thin line between private life and professional life. Many of us, even though we are having work that we have to do to provide for ourselves and our families, we also have our families. We have other things that we have to, also attend to. We have sometimes very long shifts. We have emergency calls. We have administrative duties. And therefore, that makes us to have very limited time for ourselves or even for recreation. Maybe a question that I would like to ask you is, when is the last time that you went for a vacation? When is the last time that you called yourself for a meeting? When is the last time that you're under a pause and said, now I want to go and have a rest? Some of us do not have that time. Some of us are working each and every day, maybe for 8 hours, some even for 6 hours, others 10 hours and more. But how many hours do we have in a day to be able to take a breather, to be able to reflect on our wellness, to be able to think about our physical wellness, about our social wellness, to be able to think our feelings about how we feel about other things? How many times do we call ourselves for a meeting? How many times do we take ourselves out? How many times do we have something to rejuvenate us? Alongside that is that many of us are also doing and engaging in more than one engagement, or doing even multiple jobs. As a doctor, sometimes you find that you are in more than 2 or 3 organizations, and therefore you have to work like 11, 12, or 15 hours, or to juggle between 2 or 3 jobs, because you want to supplement the income that you are getting, again, because of economic strains that we all suffer, because of the many demands that we have to satisfy. But then as we all do that, the question is, how well do we think about our well-being? Someone said, or someone described human beings and saying that a human being is a creature that spends all its energy in, creating wealth, amassing wealth. A human being is that creature that uses a lot of energy, especially now to the young doctors in the house. You use a lot of time, a lot of energy to chase after wealth, and then uses all the wealth to treat or, to take care of their health. You use all your health, all your time, all your energies to create wealth. And then after you have done that, you end up breaking down, and you use all the wealth that you have amassed over years to be able to treat your health. My hope and my prayer this evening is that we can be able to have a moderate, to have moderation. We can be able to balance so that, yes, even as we juggle between jobs, even as we look for the long shifts and overtime, we can also be able to set aside some time to be able to consciously, think about our health. We can also be able to think about ourselves in the dimensions that we mentioned earlier on, the social, the physical, the emotional, so that we do not, again, at the end of it all, use all the wealth that we have created to create our health again, which again does not and may not happen. Number 5 is limited professional recognition. We definitely know for sure that in the health profession, regardless, despite the fact that we do a lot, there is discrimination in terms of recognition, remuneration, promotion, and sometimes we may not be able to get as recognized as other cadres, as other professionals working alongside us. But then the question I always ask myself, I always see very long queues in hospitals, and every person who is going through the whole cycle in the hospital, the last person is the pharmacist. Yet, how well are pharmacists recognized, whether it is in the public or private institutions? How well do we take care of their interest and their wellness? How much do employers think about them? That people have to be seen by different other professionals in a hospital setup. And one individual, at the end of it all, must serve them. And this person who is serving them, regardless of other people that have seen this individual, maybe those who did the triage, those who did the prescription, those who did the lab things, at the end of it all, if a pharmacist gives the wrong medication, if a pharmacist messes up, the whole process, the life of those individuals is messed up. But then how well do we take care of the pharmacist? How well do we recognize the significant role that pharmacists play in an institutional setup? How well do we appreciate and acknowledge our responsibility? That is a question that we have to ask. But then again, this is something that leads to burnout, because we get employed at the same time, but my colleague get promoted, get recognized, get appreciated. And those are inequalities that exist in our industry that we must also address. The second thing is the issue of resilience and coping strategies amongst the pharmacists. Despite the challenges that I have already outlined and talked about, we have to develop, or we must develop, resilience. Remember, I said that resilience is that, ability to recover from setbacks, that ability to adapt positively and recover from stress, and emotional, maintain emotional stability despite difficult working conditions. Yes, we have limited resources. Yes, we don't get recognized as others would do. Yes, sometimes hospitals do not have adequate supplies. Kenyans are always talking about hospitals running out of medications, and a person comes to you with a prescription. For sure, you are keeping every other time telling a person, we don't have this, we don't have that, we don't have this, we don't have that. At the end of the day, it makes a person feel so sad. A friend of mine who was having a shop was saying that one of the worst things a shopkeeper can do is to sell a product called Hakuna. That a person comes, milk, Hakuna. A person comes, salt, Hakuna. A person comes, sugar, Hakuna. And therefore, that is the situation that our pharmacists find themselves in. Yet, we can't run away from our station. So, but developing resilience would help us to be able to adapt despite those challenges. In the pharmacy profession, resilience enables pharmacists to continue functioning effectively while managing workplace pressure, emotional demands, and professional responsibilities. Resilience does not mean the absence of stress or emotional pain. Rather, it reflects the ability to develop healthy coping mechanisms, maintain hope, that you are not discouraging this patient, but you're also not getting discouraged. And as I have said, depending on the setup, sometimes we might have situations that are really quite desperate, but we have to maintain hope. We have to seek also support and remain psychologically strong during challenging situations. Pharmacists who demonstrate resilience are more likely to maintain professional competency, positive relationships, emotional balance, and job satisfaction, even in demanding environments. And we have agreed that indeed we work in very demanding environments. But despite all those challenges, having the ability to maintain emotional balance, to give hope to your colleagues, to have hope yourself, and also to give hope to the patients. Coping strategies that we may utilize. We have two dimensions of coping strategies. Sometimes we have healthy coping strategies, and again, there are those who may engage in unhealthy, or what we call maladaptive strategies to cope with stress and burnout. Healthy coping strategies would involve things like seeking social support, being an active member of a society like this one, being an active member in the society, having caring and good friends and colleagues is, an important aspect for us to be able to process and also to cope with those challenges that we face. Peer support groups and experiences that we share at the professional body are all very important. And therefore, that is why I'm really very encouraged to this evening share with you, because I know that this means a lot for all of us. Professional counseling and therapy, once in a while, when things get so tough for us, it is okay for us to seek support. It is okay for us to seek professional help so that we can be able to continue coping with the challenges that we face at our workplaces. Employee wellness programs and counseling services would therefore be strengthened within healthcare institutions. Again, I must say that many institutions, many organizations still do not appreciate how important it is to engage professionals who can be able to offer appropriate support. Spiritual and religious practices. In Kenya, we are told that many Kenyans are religious. It doesn't matter your religion, but despite or regardless of your religion, whenever a person engages in prayer, in meditation, in worship, in fellowship, in some form of engagement, that also helps a person to process, their difficulties, their emotional difficulties. And the spirituality often provides hope, it provides meaning, it provides emotional healing, it provides resilience. I know for sure those of us who participate in religious activities will bear me witness. Sometimes there are things you cannot be able to do on your own. Sometimes there are things that you don't have an answer. There are things that even our workstations, our bosses, or even our colleagues may not have an answer. And this becomes one of the ways through which we can be able to process our feelings and be able to cope with difficult situations. The fourth one is physical exercise and a healthy lifestyle, engaging in regular physical activity, healthy eating, adequate sleep, and recreation recreation activities, all that would help reduce stress and improvement of well-being. Sometimes we ignore just how important it is to sleep, but health, or rather sleep, has got so many benefits. You know, when we sleep, we know for sure there are many benefits to that, whether it is a regeneration, whether it is a production of essential hormones that helps us to also deal with stress, whether it is also physical relaxation, that means a lot. But how many of us possibly also get some time to exercise? Exercising does not mean going to the gym. Exercising may also mean just doing some steps in a day, ensuring that we are very intentional, ensuring that we do some physical activities. We are told that if you exercise, that also enhances or increases air and oxygen circulation. But how many of us do that, other than, of course, helping us in many other ways that I'm sure we are aware about as medics? How many of us set aside time intentionally so that we can be able to exercise, walking, swimming, hiking, some sporting activities? And as I said, it doesn't have to be very intense, but just being mindful that practice of physical exercise helps a lot in helping us to deal with the stress and also burnout. Time management and prioritization, ensuring that we have proper scheduling, delegation of duties, that we don't, do everything by ourselves, having proper work plan, and also helping others, and also being able to ourselves manage the time that we have at work. I mentioned earlier on that we manage several things. You have to administer or give drugs, you have to manage claims, you have to do counseling, to the clients and all that. And therefore, that can be very overwhelming, especially those who are also in charge of teams, that you have to constantly mentor and meet your teams and all that. But time management and working with the priority list, that would also be very helpful. Continuous learning and professional growth. You realize that things are changing in each and every profession. There are new developments. And as a doctor who is not engaged actively in learning, then there are things that we might be missing out on. We might be doing things the way we were doing them before. And therefore, continuous learning. We say that a leader is a reader. You stop reading today, you stop leading tomorrow. We are offering leadership. Some of us are at the helm of institutions. Some of us are, leading in various other situations. And therefore, continuous improvement, continuous learning, and personal, professional growth is very important. People who feel equipped with updated knowledge and skills are more likely to cope effectively with workplace challenges. Today, when we are in the digital era, the AI, we are dealing with so many developing things, especially because of technology and advancement of knowledge. It is important that we can also intentionally be able to set aside time for personal and professional development. Those are some positive or healthy coping strategies. Unfortunately, when a person chooses to cope in unhealthy ways, which we call maladaptive behaviors or maladaptive coping strategies, they may feel okay in the meantime, but in the long run, that becomes self-destructive. Some people may adopt unhealthy coping mechanisms such as alcohol abuse, and I'm sure that we know colleagues who have resorted into drinking, in substance misuse, some even abusing legal drugs, because again, we are aware about some of them, emotional withdrawal, running away from others and not having anything to do with other people, including colleagues, denial, self-medication, and even social isolation. And as I said, while these behaviors may provide temporary relief, they often worsen mental health problems in the long run. As I said, some of us might have, an occasion where they felt like, withdrawing, or they felt of even self-medicating, or they felt, they don't want anything to do with the people. Sometimes we may feel like that, which is okay. But if this is so persistent, then we have to recognize that we need help and, of course, seek support, whether it is from colleagues, whether it is professional, or just think through and be able to seek the appropriate support. How do we build resilience, especially amongst ourselves as pharmacists? Number one is emotional intelligence training and trainings in emotional intelligence. Today they are saying there are several forms of intelligence. Previously, we were so much capitalizing on IQ, IQ and that progression of intelligence. But today, if a person is not emotionally intelligent, then that limits their productivity, their employability, their ability to work with others, and all that. Because emotional intelligence, whereas sometimes we hire a person because of their IQ, the papers that they have, how they relate with others, how they respond to situations, how they remain or how they handle problems means a lot. And therefore, that is emotional intelligence. The other thing or second thing of how we can improve is the issue of mindfulness and stress reduction program, being aware, being conscious, being able to deal with the situations in a practical way, engaging in exercises or activities that can be able to help us manage stress and burnout. Mentorship and peer networks. We have colleagues who are always coming into the profession, and therefore engagement such as these ones are very important so that we can be able to help them. I see that time is running, so I'll run as fast as time is running. Organizational support, just as we are doing, promoting purpose and meaning in work. We are coming to the tail end, and the last thing that we are looking at is professional well-being among pharmacists. And we say that professional well-being refers to a state where pharmacists experience job satisfaction, emotional health, motivation, and meaningful engagement in their work. This involves creating supportive work environments that promote safety, dignity, and personal growth. Importance of professional well-being. When a person is well emotionally, when a person is well professionally, that helps in improved patient safety. We take care of the patients or the clients that we have. It enhances productivity. We are motivated, we are innovative. Even when we have limited resources, we are able to work with those resources and yet produce good results. Number three is better workplace relationships. We spend a lot of time at workplace. As I said, a minimum of 8 hours. Some of us would go to 10, 12, and all that. And therefore, you can imagine this place where you are spending so much time, if it is a toxic environment, that is a sure way of dying young. But if we have a good working environment, better relationships with our peers, with our colleagues, with those other people that we are working with, then that helps us to become better, and not just at work, but also at home, in the community, and live a better life. It also leads to reduced staff turnover. Supportive workplaces will improve job satisfaction and reduce resignations, absenteeism, and professional migration. We are talking about kazi maju. because maybe many people are not so satisfied with work environment, conditions, or even pay locally. But if we were to work optimally and enhance professional well-being, possibly we would attract many more, we would have many more people working better with us and also achieving greater results. Well-being perspective, as we conclude, and reducing the burden of mental health challenges among pharmacists. Mental well-being among pharmacists should be approached from a holistic perspective that recognizes the interconnectedness of emotional, psychological, spiritual, social, and occupational health. Pharmacists are not merely health care providers, but also human beings with personal needs, family responsibilities, and emotional struggles and aspirations. So basically what we are saying is that we should look at doctors from a holistic perspective, not just as an employee, but also as a social being, as a person with emotional needs, as a person who has got other responsibilities. And therefore, those of us who are blessed to have leadership positions think about these individuals holistically, but also think about ourselves in the broader spectrum. Think about all aspects of our life, and then ensure that we do not leave any bit unattended, that we constantly seek professional growth and progression, that we constantly think about our physical, emotional, spiritual health, that we constantly think about other aspects that will contribute to all affect our mental well-being, that ultimately affects our professional well-being and productivity. Therefore, promoting well-being requires moving beyond focusing only on illness and burnout to creating environments where pharmacists can thrive professionally and personally. And I believe PSK, whether at the national or at the branch levels, has the capacity to do this. As we advance issues and interests of our members, it is also important that we can do them in a holistic way. As we think about our people, we can also think about programs. What is our plan? How intentional are we to promote holistic well-being of our members so that our members can enjoy being, working and serving others, so that they can also be productive and contribute to the growth of the community. A well-being centered approach emphasizes preventive strategies, supportive workplace cultures, emotional safety, professional fulfillment, and healthy working relationships. Pharmacists who experience well-being are more motivated, resilient, productive, and compassionate in their service delivery. They are also better able to maintain ethical standards, patient safety, and quality health care outcomes. Think about professional ethical standards. If we have one of us who is practicing or who is engaged in malpractice, then the whole profession is affected. If we have one of us who messes up patients, then that affects the entire profession. It affects and injures our credibility. It affects who we are. And therefore, friends, taking care of ourselves and taking care of others is also taking care of the profession, is also ensuring that we are protecting ourselves as we protect others. Thank you very much. Asante sana, Daktari.
Thank you very much, Doc, for the informative and well-elaborate presentation. I think we can even see from the chat box, you really presented the presentation with a lot of passion. And let us all applaud our presenter. Thank you very much. I see we are past time, but you're going to take the next 10 minutes for Q&A. Please, if you have a question, you can please type it in the chat box, or you raise your hand so that we can unmute you. We can see from our chat Thank you for the wonderful presentation. That is from Dr. Anna. We can see the comments there are quite encouraging, very informative. That is from Dr. Siboga. That is from Wajil. And we can see some of our doctors are asking for the presentation. The presentation will be shared. So I will just go through to see whether there is any question, read a bit of the comments that have been put on the chat box. From Nancy, what a great presentation, touching to the core. Dr. Utikas, we are going to share the presentation. Excellent delivery from Eric, Dr. Eric Jenga. Thank you so much. So do we have, okay, there is one question from Dr. Mutuma. Dr. Mutuma, go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. June, our moderator. And thank you very much, the presenter of the day, Dr. Kenneth. That was a wonderful presentation, actually food for the soul. And you have really taught us about what we call non-pharmacological treatment in case of this. So my question, Dr. is this. So when some of these symptoms you have said, one or two of us feel that we are experiencing one or two, maybe some anger that you don't know where it's coming from, irritation, anxiety. When that comes, is there a program other than those exercising or anything that you know about that one can enroll to learn about mental control and mental well-being around either Kenya or any part of our country? Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much, Dr. for that question. And definitely, of course, as I said, is that sometimes we all feel angry at sometimes we'll feel frustrated, sometimes we'll have a low, mood fluctuations, but that may also not mean that we have any problem. Are there any programs in the country? I think there are mindfulness exercises, rather programs that one can enroll and get to learn some skills that can help in dealing with the stress, with the anxiety, that can help a person be able to improve how they feel. So some mindfulness exercises, some life skills that one can also learn, like coping with stress, simple things like even time management. I know these are things that are not foreign definitely to us, but they are things that can be done, but maybe at a slightly advanced level are the mindfulness trainings that can be very helpful, or some sort of other professional trainings that would be geared towards managing oneself, including dealing with an individual mental health, mental wellness, and all that. I think that is what I can say for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Well answered.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question?
I think there is a question and answer in the QA, Dr. June.
Okay. The question is here. Hi, would you recommend medication for depression or counseling?
Thank you, Dr. When a person is depressed, sometimes, depending with the levels of depression or the cause, sometimes counseling may help, but there are cases that we recommend integration, that a person is put on antidepressants as well as therapy. But then again, that depends with the level, if it is very severe, if it's mild, or if it's just something that can be managed by addressing the cause. Then some cases may not require medication, others may require medication. So in therapy, of course, we work together a lot with you, of course, in provision of medications that are prescribed by psychiatrists, and that again depends with the severity. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Dr. Timothy, your hand is up. Please go on.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so my question to Daktari was whether there's a role for like rehabilitation, like the use of rehabs for persons who may be going through these challenges. And would it, and what exactly would be the benefit of such a residential program for a person going through such experiences?
Yeah, thank you once again, Daktari. Yes, of course, depending again with the severity or the condition, because again, there are those who may be having more than one condition, which we would describe as a comorbidity, that a person is experiencing substance use disorder. For substance use disorders, of course, the best treatment would be, rehab, where their movement and interactions with the outside community is limited. There are people who are also put in institutions where they remain as they undergo treatment, because being outside would be a risk to themselves and also risk to others. And therefore, that would be a benefit that you have them contained in maybe not just a rehabilitation center, but also an hospitalized environment. And we have several such institutions in the country where, as a person receives medication, they are also in a controlled environment. But there are also those instances that would mainly be for rehabilitation centers, mainly those that are in drug and substance abuse, alcohol and such, or addictive behaviors. Because again, a person, I have several clients who are addicted to lawful drugs, the prescriptions. And therefore, this is a person who is a worker, or a person who is working in a health institution. Even if they are not working, some drugs they can buy. So that would mean that they be taken to a rehab. And of course, you see, as I said, these are all as a result of a person engaging in maladaptive coping behaviors. So yes, those two, and then those are the benefits. Thank you, Dr.
Hope that is answered, Dr. Timothy. We have another question from Dr. Karaoke. Dennis, are there any rules, policy, or guidelines to help deal with mental health wellness in the workplace?
Yes, we have the mental health policy that was published some times back by the Minister of Health, and that stipulates very well how mental health services should be provided at workplaces and at various institutions. And therefore, that document is available and accessible. It regulates because maybe, Daktari, what also is the issue is an addition to this is can we force a person to go for treatment? Can we treat a person against their will or their wishes? And all those things are outlined in the policy document by the Minister of Health, but also being cognizant of the fact that a person who is unfortunately experiencing mental health challenges is on many occasions not aware. That's why when you meet with a person who is having a mental disorder, they will think that you are the one with the problems. It's not them. And for them, they even laugh at you because for them, everything is okay. So how do we institute treatment for such people. And therefore, there are laws, there are guidelines that guides how such individuals are treated and also guide mental health engagement even at workplaces. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Hope that is answered, Dr. Kariuki. And maybe I'll ask this question now that that issue has come up. Is it right to give sedatives, especially to patients who have mental health and are resistant to treatment? Can you give them sedatives so that they can relax and you give them treatment?
Thank you, Daktari. Indeed, I find ourselves doing that almost every other time because, as I said, a person who is mentally ill is a risk to themselves and also to others. And sometimes you see how violent some of them will be. You will see the risk. Very many occasions where I work and where I've been working before, you see a person walking on the road, sometimes barefoot, without clothes. There is no any other way of treating this person other than sedating them. And sometimes they will not even, sometimes you will have to use force. Sometimes you will have to be very treacherous, either put drugs in, mixed with glucose, or if it is possible to inject them. But yes, it is okay because again, you are protecting their safety and also that of others and also property. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can see like we've exhausted all the questions that were asked. And anybody that is left out? I think none. So in the interest of time, I can see we are already past 15 minutes. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for availing yourself, as well as giving a very informative and elaborate presentation, which, as one of us have said, it is touching the core because it is touching us as pharmacists. And so I would also like to thank all of you for attending this webinar and being here today. Let us remember that mental health is a collective journey, not just an individual journey or struggle. So let us hold hands as colleagues. Let us hold hands the colleagues that are drowning in mental health. We've had even our own colleagues who have committed suicide, but let us hold their hands so that we may not get to the point of committing suicide, but help each other. So welcome, Dr. Timothy, our chairman, PSK Meru branch, to give a parting shot and close with a word of prayer, or can delegate to someone. Thank you.
Thank you, our moderator, Dr. June. This was indeed a very resourceful session. We are grateful to Dr. Getie. And once again, we want to say thank you very much. It has been a very resourceful session to have a professional within the field of psychology, a registered counselor, and a lecturer for that. That tells us that he's a man with deep insight about how to take care of the human mind and the greater person as a whole. We are grateful also for our attendees who have been able to join us from all parts of Kenya within the PSK. We also want to say thank you for that. It is my desire and belief that out of this interaction, you have carried information that you can be able to deploy in your workplace to assist colleagues who may be undergoing such experiences, and they would benefit from such guidance. So I want to bring our meeting to a close.
Dr. Simodi, sorry for interruption. Let me just give this an opportunity to Dr. Joy Munde, who has lifted the hand. Kindly.
Okay.
Dr. Joy Munde, are you able to talk? Dr. Kamundi, you can assist me unmute Dr. Joy, please.
I think she can try unmuting herself first.
Doc? Well, probably that was an oversight.
Probably.
Yeah, sorry for that. Doc, you can go ahead. Dr. Timothy.
Thank you. So I was giving a vote of thanks for the beautiful presentation that we have had from our presenter. And we are also grateful because we shall be able to share this particular presentation at the end of these experiences. And I would also wish to ask that we register in the CPD portal to get the CPD points. The CPD points due this presentation. Otherwise, I don't have much to express beyond what I have. And this is just to ask that we bring the meeting to a close. If there is any feedback, even from a personal perspective, that you would wish the PSK maybe to do, including the contacts of Dr. Getier, maybe for a future interaction, PSK Meru branch will be there to assist with anything that can come forth. Otherwise, I wish to bring the meeting to a close. And over to you, our moderator, Dr. June.
Thank you so much, Dr. Timothy. I think that was a very fruitful day, and we can all live at a we can all live. We are going to end the presentation as from now.
Bye-bye. Good night, everyone.
Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you.